Hi book friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am a Jen who reads, and this is my March reading wrap up. I had a crazy good reading month for the month of March. Right now we're a little bit into April. I'm a little bit behind in recording my March wrap up, but looking back and looking at my stack and looking through my Goodreads, March was a phenomenal reading month. So let's talk about the books that were on my TBR that I didn't get to. And that's actually only one. I did not get to Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is going to be one that I actually start tonight. So for the month of March, I participated in a readathon called Realmathon. I was on the realm of Team Time, and unfortunately we didn't win. I think we got like third place or something like that, but it was still a lot of fun, and it really inspired me to pick up these books. One that I didn't finish is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. I did start this in March, but it is a slow go. I am 200 pages in. I'm not sure if I like it. For right now, this is the book that I am keeping at work and picking up when I have a few spare minutes at work. I'm not in a big hurry to finish this, and I'm not loving it, but I will wait and make a final judgment. I'll wait until I'm finished. So if you are interested in my final thoughts on this, you're going to have to wait around and check in on my April reading wrap up. The next book I have is one I listened to on audio, and it is The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. And let me tell you, if there was a book that was written about my true self, it was probably this book. Nina Hill is a single woman. She has cats. She loves to read. She's an introvert, and she works in a bookstore. She loves her life. She knows what she likes. She likes to come home at the end of a day and read and not go out and party. She also likes to play trivia at local bars and restaurants with her trivia team. There is a little bit of romance in this when she meets somebody from an opposing trivia team. And then she also gets a bombshell dropped on her that her father, who she never knew, passed away, and she has a whole family that she never even knew about. This whole book is just about her coming to terms with all of these new changes in her life, but also trying to stay true to herself. I highly recommend this book. I loved it. The other audiobook that I read, however, I did not love. I have read 3 books by Tessa Bailey, and I have given them all 5 stars. I've read It Happened One Summer, Hook, Line, and Sinker, and My Killer Vacation. So I just assumed I would love everything by Tessa Bailey. So when I started Secretly Yours, I was really, really excited. But let me tell you, this story did not do it for me. I did listen to this on audio, and I thought maybe that is what ruined it for me. So I did think about it for a few days before I gave my final rating. And no, it wasn't the audiobook. It was the content. If there was anything that the audiobook ruined for me, it was actually the voice of the main character, Julian. He talked like Bill Compton on True Blood. He talked just like that. He would say, "Hallie, let's go for a walk," or "Hallie, you make my heart beat." It was truly disgusting. The other thing that I did not like about this book was that the main character, the male main character, was very rigid. He liked schedules. He liked checklists. He liked rewarding himself at the end of the day with a glass of whiskey if he did everything that he was supposed to do. He's writing a book, so he would sit down and write uninterrupted for 30 minutes at a time. Very rigid, very strict, which is completely fine. But all that went out the window, and he was a completely different person when he met Hallie. Now, I am all for people changing and getting out of their comfort zones, but his change was like night and day. The other thing that I didn't like was we got to know Julian as this very buttoned up, rigid man, which again, totally fine. But then when he got dirty, and I mean like dirty, sexy dirty, he got dirty, and it did not fit his personality at all. It did not fit his character at all. Now, I'm not saying that people who are rigid and like to stick to a schedule and stuff like that can't talk dirty in bed, because absolutely they can. But the way that he did it was such a 180 of his character that it just didn't seem realistic to me. The other thing that was sort of a red flag for me was our main character, Hallie. First of all, I love that she was curvy and she loved her body. There was a lot of body positivity in this book. But she's 29 and she's a virgin. So when I heard that, when I first found that out, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be one of those kinds of books. No, it wasn't. When they had sex for the first time, it was on the ground, first of all, outside. And he said, oh, let me guess, are you a virgin or something like that? She didn't tell him. He just sort of knew. And then proceeded to be very rough with her. And then he said the next time, oh, the next time it's going to be more gentle. It's going to be like what you deserve. No, it wasn't. She went from 0 to 60. I felt like he had no respect for her sexually. And he just wanted to get his rocks off. Again, lots of stuff that I did not like about this book. There is a second book, Unfortunately Yours, which follows another character that we meet in this book. And I'm not sure if I'm going to give that one a try. So my question to you is, I don't want to walk away from Tessa Bailey and this be the last book that I read by her, but I really don't know what to pick up next. So I need comments, I need opinions, I need recommendations on the next Tessa Bailey book to pick up, because I feel like I may start to walk away from this author if the next one is not a good book. That is how much I disliked this book. I'm continuing on my Cassandra Clare journey with the second book in the Mortal Instruments. This is very YA, and normally that wouldn't appeal to me, but for some reason, whenever I pick up the Mortal Instrument books, any other book that I'm reading just kind of falls to the side, and I don't pick up anything until I'm finished with this book. I take it everywhere with me, and I just read right through it. It is a quick read, and so far, I am loving my reread of the Mortal Instruments. I did read it years ago. I don't remember how far I got. I think this may have been the last book actually that I read. So from here on out, it will be reading for the first time. But so far, I'm really liking Mortal Instruments. Also continuing my journey in Shatter Me, I read Unravel Me. I liked it. It wasn't anything great. I liked Shatter Me better. I am waiting to pass judgment until I read the third book, because I hear that the third book is where it's at. So this was just very mid for me. I read the fifth book in the Wayward Children series, and I had a problem with it. This was probably my least favorite book, and I'll tell you why. The book itself was not bad. The story was not bad, but this is a portal fantasy, and every single book follows a different character and the portal and the world that they went to when they found their door. And I feel like this author just has an unlimited amount of places that she could take us. Yet we revisited the place that we went in the second book. That being said, it also was kind of a boring story. I didn't really enjoy it. I'm really glad that it's a short read. This does not deter me from finishing the series. I definitely can't wait to read the sixth book. I just hope that we get a whole new place. I feel like we keep coming back to the same characters. We keep talking about the same places, and I want new places. The highlight of my reading in March was Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. So let me just tell you the really quick synopsis of this book. We have a city called Elantris, and it is unlike any other city that is around it. The walls, the stone literally glows. The people glow. The people are like gods. And all of a sudden, and nobody knows why, they get this sickness where their hair falls out and they get black splotches all over their body and their skin turns gray. And they're basically enclosed in Elantris because now nobody really knows what to do with them. So they kind of just like shut them in the city. And the city becomes dirty and decrepit. People are fighting over food. And then one day, the prince of a town or a kingdom or whatever, right outside of Elantris, he gets the same sickness and they throw him into Elantris. This happens right after he is betrothed to a princess of another kingdom. She is on her way by boat. When she arrives in his kingdom, she finds out that he has died. But because of the way the marriage contract is written, even though there wasn't a wedding ceremony, she is still married to him. So she still must go through mourning. She does stay in this kingdom and she tries to pull some political strings. Eventually, she makes her way into Elantris. She meets the man, the prince that she was supposed to marry, but she doesn't know that it's him. And things just sort of progress from there. This whole time, the prince that is thrown into Elantris is trying to figure out a way to better the lives of the people who live there, as well as trying to figure out what the heck happened to cause the downfall of Elantris in the first place. My cons for this book is, first of all, it took me a while to separate who was who. And there's also a point of view from a character named Rathan, and his point of view is very religious. There are some different religions that are being pitted against each other politically, and that kind of stuff just goes right over my head. I did not enjoy his character. I did not enjoy his POV until the very end, and then I absolutely loved him. This whole book, this whole time I was reading this book, I liked it. Like capital L, capital I, capital K, capital E. I liked this book. And then about a little bit past halfway, I loved this book. Now, one of the things that is interesting about this is that this was Brandon Sanderson's first novel. And so to me, that makes me excited to read the rest of his things because it can only go up from here. Definitely a 5-star read. Hi, so after I finished making the video, I realized there were 3 books that I did not talk about. The first one is The Teacher by Frida McFadden. I read this on my Kindle, so I didn't have it in my physical stack, and so I completely forgot about it. I did read this at the very beginning of the month, and yes, I only picked it up because it was called The Teacher, and I am a teacher. It was okay. Every time I review a thriller or a mystery, I always say the same thing, that I don't really enjoy them because it takes a lot to shock me. And this was the case with The Teacher. I didn't think that there was anything too surprising that went on. I do have to say, though, that the very end of the book, I can't remember if it was the last chapter or the epilogue, or I can't remember, but it was the very, very, very end of the book. It threw me for a loop. That was surprising. But because it came at the very end of the book, I just felt like it was mediocre, mediocre, mediocre. And then there was like a big boop of surprise at the end. And then it went back to being mediocre. So overall, it was okay. Not my favorite Frida McFadden. The other book I read from my Kindle is called The Exception to the Rule. There were a few well-known rom-com and romance authors who wrote mini novellas or short novellas. Novellas are short. I don't know why I'm saying mini novellas, but they wrote novellas. And the one I read was by Christina Lauren. It was really cute. It was about a boy and a girl in high school. It started in high school, and they start exchanging emails every Valentine's Day for like 10 years. And then they decide to meet, and it kind of just goes from there. It was really cute. It was really short. It was only like 100 pages. I think I read it. I read the whole thing when I was getting my nails done. And I really, really enjoyed it, especially for a novella. I thought that it was the perfect length and the perfect amount of just cuteness happened in it. And then I also finished School for Good and Evil. This is the one that I was reading at school. Some middle grade books I feel are appropriate for adults and middle schoolers. And what I mean by that is that adults enjoy reading them just as much as middle schoolers. Now, while I loved the idea behind this book and I loved the plot of this book, the writing was very, very middle grade. I was really tired by the end of the book of hearing or reading the words good, evil, prince, princess, never, ever. It just got really repetitive. I don't think that it needed to be as long. I do think the ending wrapped up very cute. I'm going to try tonight, because I'm going to be home by myself tonight, I'm going to try to watch the movie on Netflix, and we'll see. I think that I will like the movie. because I feel like the book was really cute. It was just the writing was just really too young for me to enjoy and for it to keep my attention, and I won't be reading the rest of the series. So that's everything that I read in the month of March. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love your comments, especially about Tessa Bailey. And in the description below, you can find the links to all of my other social media. Until next time, happy reading.